Hello. Okay, another beautiful day. Other concepts, other thoughts. So, this is what I'll have to say. Chaos and confusion do sell, but peace is more profitable and productive. Since I'm in the mood for the word, let's go to the word. Moses and the Israelites in the book of Genesis, my forever reference. They were at the Red Sea. The sea was flooded or flowing as it should. But behind the Israelites, we had the Egyptians with their chariots actually pursuing them. And these Israelites went into a flight mode because they cannot fight. The Egyptians were their masters. They had the equipment of war. The Israelites had their animals, their children, and the belongings that they were carrying. And they were going to the promised land, the land of their God. So in this space whereby they were on the flight mode, of course, their anxiety, the stress hormones were high, and their anxiety rose. They were fearful and they were anxious. And at this particular moment, they cried unto Moses and said, Why did you bring us to the wilderness to die? You'd have left us to die in Egypt. That's a common human emotion. Chaos and conflict elicit desperate human emotions. So Moses spoke to God, and God ensured that the Red Sea would part and the Israelites would find themselves on the other side. This act of parting the sea gave the Israelites peace. The Israelites were able to focus on where they're supposed to go, and of course they would forever praise their God of signs and wonders. That's in the Bible. Right, let's come to our modern world. In our modern world, we have chaos and conflicts. Every day we hear of something happening. But sometimes, if not all times, someone brings chaos and conflict to elicit desperate human emotions, and then takes an opportunity and brings in some peace, some tranquility. Savior of the day. For those of us who love sci-fi, we love watching who's the hero. There's no movie I've watched that doesn't have a hero, because the hero saves the day. Storyline in everything I think we watch, books we read. And in our modern day, these things are happening. And sometimes the chaos and conflicts can actually go out of control. And when that happens, we have loss that we don't desire. Loss of human life, loss of property, loss of dignity. Because at this point, as I was saying, at this point, you will be forced to either fight through the chaos or conflict or flight, take off. And or you can't afford to freeze. If you freeze in a conflict, in a chaotic situation, hey, you're gonna suffer. They have 3 Fs. And what human beings will do, most of the time they'll just flee. When they flee, there are consequences to wherever you're fleeing to. You might find a more hostile situation than you left where you were, and more predicaments may follow. And fear has been something that is like a trade. You trade fear for something. Since you're fearful, I can protect you. Since you're fearful, I can make this happen. Fear. They say fear comes from the enemy, but fear is a human emotion. Fear is normal. Constantly staying in that fear is what is an issue. So, if you do understand the works, the basics of life, you will not live in fear because you will know in the confusion and in the chaos and in the conflict, there's always redemption. So, whatever you're going through in life, I know situations are different, things just happen. I also go through chaotic moments, I have conflicts, I'm confused, but in that moment, there's always some redemption, some peace shall reign in. And the only time you can hear of the peace or feel the peace is when you take your time and reflect, breathe. When you are in your flight, fight, freeze mode, you don't concentrate. The same analogy that is given with how clear can you see. If you are able to calm down your nerves, you're able to see the cup, the teacup. Let's talk about a teacup and a water cup. When the water is so muddy, soily, you can't see through. But when it settles, you can see through. So peace is something that you can develop in yourself. You don't have to get external validation, but something that you can actually develop. And one thing I know is that you need to practice mindfulness through breath work and meditation. What would you like to do in your chaotic, confusing, conflicting moments? Find peace.